Huh.
All right, hello folks, Dane here. I am setting up to carve, and so there's this set of profiles that I will basically trace with the router. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to lower the camera. Gosh, if I had a mind. So we are right there. Now I have started running this edge down because so let me kind of back up a little bit. We've got the 3 different profiles. Each one of these represents a 3 millimeter drop from the surface height. So if you go down 3 millimeters on this one and 3 millimeters on that one, 3 millimeters on that one, then you've got simple math. It's 9. Take one of these away. 9 millimeters. And then you have 1/4 of an inch or 6 mil coming up from the bottom. The total was 3/4 on the thickness of the slab here. So then you've got the difference between the two, and I didn't do the math. I laid it out on the edge here, but I don't know where that went. So what I'm doing prior to any of the profile, I'm going around the entire edge of the guitar. I'm taking it down to 5/16 from the bottom edge, or the inside edge, if you will, and I'm going to leave that at 5/16, maybe a fuzz shy of that. Then I will do this layer first, because that will bring me, whatever it is, the notch up from that. It's over 3 millimeter, and then 3 millimeters up from that for that one, 3 millimeters up for that one. And I didn't make them full size; they were half size on the plan. And I'm a little low on this material, so I just decided to cut it out of some of the scrap I had left over from making the body molds. Anyway, that's it. So I will go ahead and run a little of this. I will also say that, because of the cutter direction, right? If I were to get here and just plow into this thing, I could be blowing chunks off of this. Now, because it's going to be carved, it's probably not a huge thing, but I'm just climb cutting, and when you're climb cutting and you're holding the router, to me it just feels somewhat more doable than when you're feeding a piece of material into a router table and climb cutting. But it doesn't have to be exact. So basically, I freehanded a 1/2 inch line all the way around the body here. And I'll probably just come out to here, somewhere around in the upper, just around the tip of the horn, and around the tip of the horn here. And I've been pondering this. I'm pretty sure that I'm clear for takeoff all the way to to go all the way around the horn here with it at 1/4 inch thick. But I'm just going to do a little bit of this, drop my, I'll re-clamp and do it all at once, and then when I get to my final height, I won't have to be changing my cutter and maybe ending up with a different depth. So, clear as mud? All right. I know you've never seen me run a router before, so this ought to be a thrill. I'm going to flip this thing around and just carry on, so I might turn the camera on once in a while. Just, give you a progress report sort of thing. Okay, so I've been routing around this thing. It's a little squirrely when you get out too far, so I added this, I did the same thing over here, but I added this little outrigger thing so that it'll support the router till I'm in close enough to my pattern that I can hold it up. So that's why that's there. And I'm still climb cutting. Hey folks, how you doing? I've been doing a lot of sanding and carving and sanding, and then prepping some things on the 335, and so as of yet I don't have any pictures or video of carving the back. I'm hoping that this is somewhat okay here as far as being able to tell that there's actually a carving here and here and on the outside as well. So you can see up here for these things. Yeah. Anyway, I'm about ready to glue this onto the sides, the rims, and so I wanted to make sure that I had you can't even tell on there, but this is the top. And I not only outlined the top, can you see that? Yeah, okay. But I also outlined the inside with the actual edge that's going to be carved, you know, into. So I wanted to make sure I had that, because once I get the back on, I won't have access to the rims to be able to reach through like I've been doing. So okay, so I'm going to take this piece, and I'm just going to get my big sanding block. I have a 4x24 belt. I'll pause so I can go find it. Okay, it really wasn't very far away. I just didn't see it over on top of my spindle sander. So it's like a 60 grit, but what I want to do is I'll bring you on down here. What I want to do is just sand, tighten that up a little bit. This has been, you know, because it's been pretty hands-on. You get your hand oils on everything. And so the center, 4-inch center block and the perimeter edges, I'm just going to sand so that I got good, clean, fresh surface for the glue up. At least cleaner if I had done nothing whatsoever. Alright, I didn't think about what that might have sounded like. So I've had the rims pretty much in this frame since I glued them together, and you can see they fit well. This is why I'm not gluing the back or the front to the rims when I have this mold on them, because I wouldn't be able to get the mold off. And there wasn't a way to unhinge that mold because of the Mickey Mouse ears, right? So before I what am I going to do? Before I glue this up, I'm gonna put some pins in it. So I'm just going to get set up and get a little drill bit. I'm probably going to do like 4 of them. Now I'm out of the camera again. So I at some point I thought I was going to make a little frame to drop this in just so that it could be flat while you were doing things to it. But I managed to get the whole carve done without doing that. So yeah, I didn't do it. Now I'm thinking if I had done that, this would be a lot handier. But anyway, what I'm doing is I'm going to put pins in it. Then I'll demonstrate how I do that. The mahogany is obviously softer than the maple, or maybe if you're not familiar with wood, different species. The maple, unless it's a soft maple, is going to be harder than mahogany. So I'm going to start out with some brads in the maple, and then I will nip them and then just push the mahogany into it, and that will give me pins so that when I do the glue up, I can just locate those pins and start clamping. I don't have to worry about the thing sliding around. All right, so I'm going to get set up for the little drill and pins. All right, back in here. So I want just the teeniest little bit of depth on this brad going in here. Primarily, although where I'm going in at these places are on the rounder part of the top, so, but all of these carved areas are 1/4 inch thick, so we want to stay into the thicker areas. And just looking at that, it's not going to be a problem on either end, really. I'm just going to go across from where the hump is right here and call that good. And that. And then I'm just going to I'm only going to go in maybe 1/8 of an inch with these brads. And so you can see that. So just a fuzz. I may not have quite 1/8 mark there, but just if there was a chance of me running into these with a router bit, I wouldn't use metal. I say that as I'm flipping this over and going like, where's my pickup going to be? I'm in the clear. So the idea is it doesn't really matter which direction you go into the maple with the brad. Because brads aren't round, these are gun brads. So brads aren't round, they're kind of, if you're looking at the section or the plan view, which you can't see squat there, it's kind of rectangular shape. But it doesn't make a lot of difference here because I pilot drilled. I'm going in a very short distance. And if I were going into something softer, I probably wouldn't had to have pilot drill, but the pilot drill gives me the opportunity to determine how deep I want the holes. If you're just pounding these in, you can't really tell how far you're going. So the place where the orientation of the brad might make a difference is in the grain of the mahogany. So if I cut these brads off perpendicular to the grain here this way, then the wedge is going front to back. The wedge that I leave from nipping that off. If I were to cut them off this way, then the wedge would be going into the grain lengthwise and could very realistically could pull me off of where I want to land with that. So I'm cutting them off the other way so that I can set this up, get it right where I want it, and then push it down, and it'll stay where I push it down. It won't drift because I'm cutting these off this way. And I'm cutting them off pretty much flush with the maple as much as I can with the cutter, with being able to get my hand under it. Alright, so now I can line this thing up. Obviously the center beam is 4 inches, the same as this. So I'm eyeballing all of that together. The front is pretty much right with the block, probably a 1/16 proud of where the block is at, because the block should be exactly the right length. So just making sure everything's lined up where I want it. My center line on my tail end here looks like it's centered with my center line on my top. My center block here is lined up with each side of the center that I left, the center block I left in the carve. If anything, it looks like I might just want to push it toward the back a little bit. There we go. Double check here and here and side to side here, and where my inside blocks line up with my carve. So it's probably what I should have been looking at all along. Looks pretty good. Alright, so here we go. So now those pins are located. So I can pull this apart, do my glue up, and then snap it back together. Now I've already pre-sized all this. I'm going to get set up again just to make sure I have all my clamps ready. But all my spool clamps, I don't have enough to do the entire perimeter, but all my spool clamps, I've already done a dry run on it and haven't messed with them, so they should be fine. Famous last words. And then I got squeezy clamps. Excuse me. I got more squeezy clamps. And I got a squeezy over there. You're back. All right, so I'm also doing a little light sanding on the rims. Sanded the inside of the rim itself and the kerf down to 320. I should just grab a brush. Oh, right here. Well, let's just hang it up. locked onto that. And I put a couple squeezies. So this side is a little bit, you know, I can move this side some. So what I'm doing is I'm just looking to the inside of this because this is where I laid it out when I had it in the frame and I marked it. And so if I stay true to my carve line inside here, I should be pretty good. Because the actual perimeter of this thing is not necessarily cut perfectly. And I don't know if you can see it that well here, but it's hanging over quite a bit here. So that's why I'm looking at the inside. So I can't really count on it being right on. I'm going to put a couple bigger clamps in the middle here. It's because I'm getting some squeeze, but not. Yeah, I'm going to add some clamps to that. I want to make sure that I get that clamp together good. When you get all this stuff on a guitar, you can't exactly just pick it up and hold the block in place, so I'm just going to tape the block and the pad if I don't get it all twisted up here. I'm going to go ahead and let this dry a little bit more, and then I will go back in here and scrape the glue that's squeezing out off of there, get around the perimeter as much as I can, get some of that cleaned up. Cut you loose here.